In a quiet town called Abeokuta, in southwestern Nigeria, lived a girl that most people tried not to see. Her name was Mornike. She was 16 years old, thin, soft-spoken, and always kept her eyes low. Not because she was shy, but because life had taught her that looking up often invited trouble. Mornike was an orphan. Her parents had died in a road accident on the Lagos-Ibadan expressway when she was very young. With no close relatives willing to care for her, she was taken to a small place known as Grace Home Orphanage, a worn-out compound with cracked walls and leaking roofs. It was not a place of comfort. It was a place of survival. Every morning, Mornike walked nearly 2 kilometers to Unity Government Secondary School. Her school uniform was faded from years of washing. Her sandals were always mended. Her books were old and torn, and because of this, she became a target. At school, students whispered when she passed. "That's the orphan girl," someone would say. Others were louder. A girl named Kemi, known for her sharp tongue, enjoyed embarrassing Mornike in front of everyone. "Hey Mornike," she would shout. "Did your dead parents forget to buy you new shoes again?" Laughter followed. Teachers often pretended not to hear. Some felt sorry for her, but pity never stopped cruelty. Mornike never fought back. She never cried in public. She learned to disappear. During lunch breaks, she sat alone behind the assembly hall, under a large tree where no one bothered her. She spent her time reading old books from the school library or staring into the distance, imagining a life where she mattered. She didn't know that life was about to change, and it would begin with something buried in the dirt. One hot afternoon, after another painful day of insults, Mornike decided not to go straight back to the orphanage. Instead, she walked toward the rocky outskirts near Olumo Rock, a place tourists visited but students rarely explored alone. She needed quiet. As she sat on a flat stone, trying to calm her thoughts, her hand touched something hard beneath the soil. She brushed the dirt aside. It was a golden locket. Old, heavy, beautiful. The chain was broken, and the gold was dull from years underground. But even in that state, it looked valuable. When Mornike opened it, her breath caught. Inside were 2 small photographs. One was of an older man wearing traditional royal clothing. The other was of a young woman with gentle eyes and a warm smile. Engraved inside the locket were the words, "A child is never truly lost." Mornike felt a strange tightness in her chest. She didn't understand why, but tears filled her eyes. She didn't sell the locket. She didn't show anyone. She tied it with a simple string and wore it under her clothes every day. That locket became her secret, and unknowingly it became her key. A few weeks later, the school announced a special program. A private education foundation was offering scholarships to outstanding students in history and civic studies. The winners would receive full academic support. Mornike never planned to apply, but her history teacher, Mr. Ade, stopped her after class. "You are very intelligent," he said. "Do not let your background decide your future." With hesitation, she applied. On the day of the interview, something unusual happened. Several black luxury cars drove into the school compound. Students gathered at the windows, whispering excitedly. The tall man stepped out. He wore simple traditional clothing, but everything about him showed power and calm confidence. His name was Prince Adewale. Many Nigerians knew him as a royal prince from an ancient Yoruba kingdom. Fewer people knew he was also a billionaire businessman with investments in oil, agriculture, and technology. Mornike knew none of this. She only knew that when she entered the interview room, the prince's eyes locked onto her chest, onto the thin string beneath her collar. His face changed. "Excuse me," he said slowly. "Where did you get that locket?" The room fell silent. Mornike's voice shook. "I found it near Olumo Rock, sir." Prince Adewale stood up suddenly. "That locket," he said quietly, "belonged to my sister." The interview ended immediately. Mornike was taken into a private office. She was terrified. She thought she had done something wrong. Instead, Prince Adewale sat across from her, his eyes filled with emotion. "My sister disappeared many years ago," he explained. "She was pregnant. That locket was made specially for her." Mornike felt dizzy. Over the next few days, doctors were called. Tests were done. Records were searched. The truth slowly surfaced. Mornike was not an orphan by blood. Her mother had been a royal princess, secretly taken away during a dangerous palace conflict. After giving birth, the princess died from complications. The baby was secretly handed to a trusted aide for safety. That baby was Mornike. The aide later died in the same road accident that claimed Mornike's adoptive parents. The locket had been buried for years, waiting. DNA tests confirmed it. Mornike was royal. The news was kept quiet at first, but truth always finds its way out. Soon, the story spread. The same students who mocked Mornike now avoided her eyes. Some apologized. Others were ashamed. Grace Home Orphanage was renovated and fully funded. Scholarships were given to every child there. Mornike was moved under royal protection, but she never allowed herself to forget her past. She continued her education in Lagos, then studied international relations and economics, determined to understand power and poverty from both sides. Years passed. She grew into a confident young woman. Calm, intelligent, and compassionate. She spoke at conferences. She advocated for orphan children. She built programs for poor communities. Prince Adewale watched her from a distance, not as a royal duty, but with admiration. Their relationship developed slowly. Long conversations, shared values, mutual respect. Prince Adewale did not fall in love with a lost princess. He fell in love with a survivor. When he proposed, it wasn't in a palace or at a grand event. He took her back to Grace Home Orphanage. Under a new tree planted in the compound, he knelt and asked her to marry him. She said yes through tears. Their wedding blended tradition and simplicity. It was royal but humble. Mornike became a princess by title. But more importantly, she became a leader by action. Together, they built one of the largest education and child welfare foundations in West Africa. Mornike later became a billionaire, not by inheritance alone, but through leadership and investment. When interviewed, she never spoke about wealth. She always said the same thing: "I was bullied because people thought I was nothing. But I survived long enough to prove them wrong." In her private room, displayed in a glass case, sat the old golden locket. The one that turned an invisible orphan girl into a woman who changed lives.